with Gramophone, one of the finest hi-fi dealers in the world. My name is Dave Nauber, and I am the brand director for Classé. Very happy to be here at the Gramophone. We're very happy to have our association with them renewed. You're about to listen to some new products tonight. These are the new Delta series from Classé called the Delta Pre, the preamplifier, the Delta Stereo, which is on display here, not plugged in, not being used, but cover off to show you what it looks like inside. And then the Delta Monos, which are the amplifiers. I'd like to just explain a little bit about the system, and then we'll just listen to some music if that's okay. To start with, I'm using a MacBook Pro, which is tucked away above the CD player here as my source. All the music files are resident on the MacBook Pro. There are two types of programs running. One is called Audiourvana. It's a plugin that's designed to serve the music, to manage the music files, and it has something called iTunes integrated mode. So I'm also running the familiar iTunes program. iTunes gives me the advantage of running the iTunes remote app. So the iPad here is not being used to stream anything to the system. It's just being used to control what we're listening to and also how loud. So if you look at the preamp, you'll see that I can change the volume on the preamp just by moving my finger on the volume control in iTunes. Normally when you change the volume in iTunes, it changes the volume in the digital domain. And the problem with that is that if you want to make digital signals smaller, the way you do it is you have to throw resolution away. You have to use fewer bits to describe that smaller signal, so you lose resolution. Therefore, we want to avoid that, and this system is designed to let us change the volume in the analog domain in the preamp, which is the proper place to do it. One other feature of this preamp I want to point out is that you see there are 2 decimal points on the volume control. I believe that the playback level is critical to your absolute enjoyment of the performance. That the volume you choose to listen in the morning first thing will be different from the volume you choose to listen to that same song later in the day. That the sound around you, the environment, your own physiology, things change, and therefore the correct volume for every recording will change with it. I'll pick volumes for playback tonight that they won't be the exact volume you would choose because you're just different people. So what we want is the freedom to choose literally any volume, like an infinite number of choices. Well, that's not really possible when you have steps, but you want to make those steps so small that you can't really even hear them. So these are quarter decibel steps. See the increments there? So when we adjust the volume, we can adjust it in 0.25 decibel steps. And that makes it effectively like a continuous control. We can pick any volume we want, and that's the right volume. With most preamplifiers, the number of choices is smaller, the steps are bigger. And so you invariably find yourself really kind of wanting to listen to something that's partway between the 2 choices that you've got. And that's kind of annoying, and we're solving that problem with this design. So the signal comes out of the laptop, and it goes with a USB cable into the back of the preamp. So this preamp, in addition to being like an ordinary preamp, it's got a phono stage inside, it's a regular analog preamp. It also has a digital to analog converter, so it's got a full collection of digital inputs. It even has optional HDMI. So if you have a TV between your speakers, it simplifies HDMI switching. There's a fan on the front, and so these are air intakes. And the fan, we're not the first people to use a fan, but we are the first to use an aluminum bonded fin heatsink that's got a fan that's thermostatically controlled, which is to say that when you play it louder and it generates more heat, the fan speeds up. And when you play it softer, the fan slows down. It gives us reliability, it gives us better performance, and if you say, well, isn't a fan noisy? I don't think you can hear them. These are amplifiers that are rated at 300 watts per channel. They're really quite powerful. One of the characteristics that's different is that they have a lot of what's called Class A power. And Class A power is known for generating a lot of heat, which is why the cooling system works really well. These are biased to 35 watts of Class A. And if you watch the meters while we listen, and trust me, we'll spend the rest of the time listening, these meters give you an idea of where you are in the Class A scheme. When the pointer's vertical, we're delivering about 3 watts. And when it's 1 mark past vertical, we're delivering 30 watts. So you'll notice during the demos that the meters don't really go past 1 mark beyond vertical, which means we're listening in Class A. And I think that's it. Paul, did I forget anything else?